And one of the things that's become really clear to me is that there is a reason why we're seeing these epidemics of allergies. And there actually have been three waves to the allergy pandemic, starting in the late 19th, early 20th century. The main causative factor for the first wave was outdoor pollution. And to some extent, it was industrial pollution. But once automobiles became part of the lifestyle throughout the world, automotive air pollution is a major factor contributing to seasonal allergic disease and to pollen allergies in particular. And what's been studied, and most of the studies, of course, have been done in the Northern Hemisphere and most of them in Europe. Yeah. But what has been demonstrated is that automotive pollution not only is damaging to our own tissues, but it also alters the pollens, and it makes a lot of plants pollinate more.
Okay.
And it also makes the pollen from those plants more allergenic.
Sure.
So it changes us, but it changes our environments in such a way that it's not only our changes, it's the changes in the environment. Now, in about the middle of the 20th century, there was this second epidemic that started, or the second phase of the pandemic, which was involved asthma, eczema in particular. And those started to really take off and become global. And the main factor driving that has been indoor air pollution, because beginning sometime during the middle of the 20th century, people just began spending more time indoors. Television was a big factor for that, just changing lifestyles. But the indoor environment began to change. A lot of this research has been done in Australia, actually. And formaldehyde is a major factor contributing to that, because it's present in so many indoor environments. It especially impacts children, but it will affect adults as well. And so that not only altered the way that our respiratory tracts and skin, our surfaces, function, because formaldehyde is very toxic to the body surfaces inside and out, but it itself is a major allergen and a major promoter of allergy, and it actually alters some of the things like dust that we're exposed to indoors. And at the same time, there were dietary changes that started to occur because of the excessive processing of food and the removal of a lot of natural ingredients that have anti-allergic effects. A lot of these from plants, they're called polyphenols, and the bioflavonoids are probably the main anti-allergic factor in the diet. So we have a situation starting maybe 70 to 50 years ago, in which our diets are changing, our indoor environments are changing. We're spending more time indoors than outdoors. I mean, in the US, people spend about 90% of their time indoors now. And then the third wave of this pandemic started to occur towards the end of the 20th century into the present 21st century. And that's the pandemic of food allergy. In the US, for example, the incidence of tree nut allergy, and that is an IgE-mediated, well-recognized allergy, tripled between the mid-1990s and about 2005. And the changes there have to do with an internal pollution, that is alterations in the microbes living in our bodies, in the respiratory tract and in the GI tract, called the microbiome. And that's the cumulative effect of the overuse of antibiotics, the inappropriate use of antibiotics added to the feed for livestock, and also changes in the nature of the food that we consume. I would say the U.S. has been the epicenter of that, but it's spread around the world, and clearly there are issues in South Africa as well.
Sure.
The more people get away from traditional ancestral diets towards a modern diet that, is so excessively processed, the more likely this is to happen. And in some centers, in some populations, because this is such a new change and a sudden change, the impact may be greater over a short period of time than it is in places, let's say in Western Europe or the US, North America, where it's been happening gradually. Maybe there's been some process of adaptation.